Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. I have a couple of little housekeeping things to get out of the way right away. The first of which is I am continuing to play around with my podcast lighting. In fact, I'm going to continue, I guess this is sort of my safe space. This is my sandbox to play around with lighting. And as I figure out various things with lighting, I may start to incorporate them into like my cooking videos, for example, if applicable. But I mentioned, I think it was on the last main podcast, not interview podcast or anything like that, that I had watched a video from a content creator, and he's talking about how to really make your podcasts aesthetically pleasing through lighting. And he talked about, diffused lights and point lights, I think they're called, where to set up different lights, their angles, things like that. So I've got this diffused thing over here, and over here I've got, I think it's called a point light. It's kind of harsh, actually. I may need to get some sort of a diffuser on that. I've got it set at 5%, and it's still making some shadows here. I won't know until I get into editing just how washed out I am on this side. And then I've got a light behind me, which is supposed to kind of make me pop. Anyhow, if for whatever reason things look weird, please just live with them. It's an experiment. I'm trying to get it dialed in. What's next? Every time I try and start the podcast, I'm always successful starting the podcast when I say, hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. But I've tried a different phrase repeatedly, and I just keep stumbling over my own words whenever I do it. And it's something to the effect of, grab your favorite breakfast beverage. That's the part I have a hard time with, saying breakfast beverage for whatever reason. Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto. Grab your favorite breakfast beverage. See, already, blah. Grab your favorite breakfast beverage because it's time for the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. I don't know, maybe at some point I'll get that right. I should just practice that as a tongue twister, and eventually maybe I'll be able to wrap my mouth around those words. So with that out of the way, let's talk a little bit more about the podcast. The podcasts are sort of a unique creature to me in terms of my content. It is the least viewed of all of my content. But that's okay, because to me, it's my favorite viewers that are tuning in. I have viewers that'll watch the recipe videos or the review videos, but the ones that tune in, that tune in to the podcast, to me, and I hope I'm not getting big-headed or making assumptions when I say this, I feel that you're watching it because you want to spend more time with me. And I'm enormously, enormously flattered by that. That's the positive side, the very positive side to the podcast. The not as positive side is sometimes I get concerned a little bit that when I'm sharing stuff with you, especially about some of the bad stuff that goes on the channel or in the comments, that you may think I'm talking about you, and I'm not. I mean, I don't know, as I think about the comments that I get on the podcast, they're almost universally very pleasant and cheer me up. So when I talk about things like bad behavior on the channel, I'm not talking about you. I'm just sharing it with you. It's one of those things where I feel like that maybe, well, at least I hope, I'm saying some of the things that are on your mind, and it's kind of enjoyable, I think, sometimes to hear someone echo or articulate the things that we're all thinking. And hang on for just 1 second, I gotta put my phone into do not disturb mode because I know for a fact that it will go off or something during this podcast. So that's all taken care of. And I bring this up for a couple of reasons. One is it seems like every podcast where I mention some sort of bad behavior, whether it's in the comments, in the keto world, whatever, I will have a viewer or two, usually just one, that feels I'm talking about them. And I'm not. I'm not talking about anybody specifically. It's just a general sort of statement about behavior. But I had one last week, this is why I'm bringing this up as a topic, where a person says, I have never done whatever this thing was that I mentioned. I only do this, and I can't believe you're bringing this up, or something like that. As I said, I'm not talking about any of you, probably. I'm just sharing. The other thing too is sometimes when I'm going through comments and people are sharing their opinions with me or saying you should do this or you shouldn't do that or whatever unsolicited advice they're giving me for my channel, I want to be able to separate the signal from the noise. So as I get comments, how do I determine, are these people, they're just random folks that found the channel, or are they long-term dedicated viewers? And since I feel that the podcast folks are probably the long-term dedicated viewers, I will periodically float something out to all of you to get a response to confirm what I believe. And one of those things is that I think what makes this channel, or I hope makes this channel a little bit special, is my curiosity about ingredients, cooking methods, kitchen gadgets, things like that. Which is why I love when I stumble onto one that I'm excited about, I love to share. And I had brought up in the last podcast the question of whether you all like that. Do you want to see new ingredients and new gadgets and new techniques and things like that? And the just overwhelming response was, yes, keep it coming. We're adults. We can choose, what we want to buy. Show us. So I think I probably got a couple hundred comments that said, yeah, show us the stuff. We love it. And probably one that just said, no, I'm on a limited budget. I feel like you're trying to push stuff on us. So back to what I was saying, I will float things out to you, my podcast watchers and listeners, questions, comments, ideas, things like that, and then let you hopefully reaffirm what I already think. And I got a lot of people saying, just keep doing what you're doing, Steve. You be you, do what you want to do. And I will. I totally will. I wrestle with it from time to time, especially when it comes to things like dirty keto, for example, and whether or not to do videos that got a little bit of dirt on them. But overall, I try not to overthink things. I just try to be me, and hopefully being true to myself is what you enjoy. I will still experiment with certain types of videos. I'll float something out there, like the 2-ingredient lavish crackers. It's incredibly dirty keto. I wanted to float that out there and just sort of see how it behaves, see how everybody responds to it. And I'll continue to do that. I don't suspect I'm ever going to do shorts, like these short form videos or stories or whatever they're called, very TikTok-y looking videos. That's just not my thing. What else won't I do? Probably won't do grocery hauls. Unless I figure out a way, grocery hauls and what I eat in a day, what I eat in a week. These to me very often just feel like filler content. That's just my opinion. And I can't see myself doing those unless I figure out a way to put some sort of neat spin on it. It is fun going to a store and picking out all the keto foods and then, saying, is it really keto? And taking a look at the ingredients and taking a look at the nutrition facts and serving size and things like that and exposing those. But that's more of a bulk review than necessarily a grocery store haul. I kind of felt like I might have a bow that I could put on this to kind of wrap it all together. But I guess if there were one, it would be, I'm going to stay true to myself. I'm going to keep doing what I do. I'm not going to second guess myself. And I'll continue to kind of look to some of you, or most of you, that view the podcast because you're the ones that have been with me for the longest time and are the most dedicated viewers and or listeners. And I appreciate your feedback. So I think that's it for that. I'm going to continue this podcast talking about YouTube and content creation and comments a bit, and not specifically in terms of my channel, but just in general, because I'm not just a content creator, I'm also a YouTube user. So I'm like all of you. I get out and I watch other people's videos and I comment on videos, but I also have the opportunity to kind of see behind the curtain. And as a result, I think my behavior changes a little bit in terms of how I act towards other content creators. And I'm not talking about keto content creators either in this case, just because I really don't watch much at all in the way of other keto channels. If I do, it's generally something that's baking or desserts, things like that, that I don't typically do on my channel. And I'm interested in seeing what they do. But just in general, something to know about what we as content creators can do in terms of comment management. We have the ability first to see every comment. Well, actually, that's not entirely true. If you are replying to a comment, like someone else's comment, or replying to one of my pinned comments, and you don't specify like @SeriousKeto on it, then it won't pop up. I won't see that. I see that in notifications. But then there's another complete section within YouTube Studio or Creator Studio for comment management. And the way that it works is any comment left on any video shows up in chronological order in that feed. So if, and this is sort of friendly advice here, if you want to leave a comment to a content creator, leave it on the appropriate video. Very often I will get comments from people who they'll leave a comment on my most recent video that's related to a video from 2 years ago or more. And don't do that. That messes up the comments for that video. If you put a comment on my corn tortilla video from 3 years ago, I will see that today as you leave it, and I will respond to it there. But if you put that into like my podcast right here, that's not where it belongs. And then just the sort of anal retentive part of me, I was going to say OCD, but once you actually meet someone that really has OCD, you realize you probably shouldn't call yourself OCD because it's like debilitating. But that's an aside. Where was I? Oh yes, the anal retentive part of me, I like order, I like structure, I like comments where they belong. So tip number 1, as you are leaving comments for me or for anybody, leave the comment on the appropriate video. The next tool that content creators have is the ability to delete comments, report it as various types of spam or inappropriate behavior, or ban a user from commenting in the future. And depending on which app you're using or how you're going into YouTube as a content creator, it has different names. It has, I think, hide user from channel. It's got mute user. I think the other option is don't show posts by this user. And like I said, it depends on either how you go into YouTube through your web browser or if you're using the app on the phone. But any of those things is a 2-click process. It's literally you click the 3 dots next to the comment and then you click delete comment, report, ban user. It's that simple. So there are times when I or other content creators get trolled by people, and we could either respond, I could spend 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes crafting an articulate response as to why keto isn't going to kill me or any of us, why, this is good or this is bad. I get a lot, obviously as a keto channel, there's a fair amount of anti-keto trolling that I get. And is it worth it? Is it worth it for me to take 5 minutes to attempt to educate somebody who's clearly just, come here to troll me? Or is it easier for me to go click, click, and they're gone forever? They will never ever see another one of their posts, nor will anyone see one of their posts on this channel again. You tell me what you would do. I'll tell you which one I do. Click, click, gone. So be aware then that as you leave comments on channels, and oh, by the way, also, there are things that I look for too. Since I read every single comment, and if I do notice somebody that it's sort of, is this person trolling me? Are they trying to be a troublemaker or not? I'm not sure. I'll just sort of remember that for future reference and see then if there's a subsequent comment. And generally, if there is a subsequent comment, it's something completely nice, benign, pleasant. So I don't just wield the ban hammer with impunity, but it is also pretty obvious when someone is coming in and just trying to troll you. That said, there are people out there that do really rule their comment section with an iron fist. And anybody that disagrees with them or trips any of their triggers, they're gone, deleted, never to post again. So be aware then, as you leave comments on any channel, that content creators have that ability. And think then a little bit about how you structure what you say. And if I were to share sort of my approach, which I'm going to do, I try and think about it in terms of, is this something I would say in a job interview? So there's certain things you're not going to say in a job interview. You're not probably going to bring up religion or politics or anything that just sort of makes you look crazy. That's one. I think the other thing too is if you are going to offer any sort of a constructive criticism, think of it in terms of how would you phrase it to a friend if you want to keep that friend. So I think recipes, for example, are one. Like if you have something about a recipe that you think you can do better, rather than say, oh, my recipe's better, or so-and-so, this other channel, Black Tie Kitchen, his version is way better. Try this instead. Like you'd say, when I make mine, I use fennel pollen. Have you tried that? Oh my gosh, it's so good. I encourage you, give it a try. Or have you thought about searing, then sous videing, then searing again? I find I get an amazing crust on my steak when I do that, rather than just saying, you're doing it wrong. So that's one. I think also what you tend to see across all YouTube channels is other content creators will go onto that channel and post something with the intent of trying to pull people over to their channel. And there's ways to do that. I'm not saying don't do that if you are also a content creator, but to come to someone's channel and just blatantly pimp your channel, or to say, my recipe's better, and then you link to it, that's a quick way to get deleted right there. If, however, you say, oh, so here's an example of one. This was just a couple of days ago. Some guy went to all, I think, 6 or 7 of the videos that I've done on reviewing bread with glucose results, and he put a link, no comment, just a link to him doing reviews of bread. And I deleted them all. If, however, he would have said, Steve, thanks for doing this. This was really interesting. I also did some tests. If you're interested in seeing my results, here they are. If I saw something like that, I'd probably even click on it and watch. The other thing that I don't do when I'm commenting on other people's videos is complain. Because as a content creator, I know that we just don't care, really. We get so many comments over the course of a day. I don't need any sort of negativity thrown at me because someone doesn't like cilantro or something. You know, if you don't like a recipe, if you don't like an ingredient, just don't make it. Coming back and complaining to me or complaining about the ingredient, the recipe, whatever, it's just sort of, it's a waste of your time, really. And not so much a waste of my time because I see it and I'm just like, beep. I don't delete it. That's not the delete noise. Beep. That's just me going, whatever, scroll on by. So I think those are the main things. I just think being positive in general in the comments, being supportive of that content creator, not necessarily me, but being supportive of that content creator, telling them that you appreciate his or her content, being supportive and kind to other viewers and other commenters, it goes a long way, I think, to creating a really pleasant community. And that's what I want here in Serious Keto, and that's why I behave that way when I leave comments for other people. I just think there's way too much toxicity online. So the reason I shared all this is not because I'm accusing any of you of this behavior, but rather just sort of showing you my approach, and if you feel it's helpful, feel free to take it and use it on your own. I think that's going to be it for this podcast. Like I said, coming up this week, we've got the tortilla review part 2, and there is sort of an extensive period at the end where I kind of unravel everything I learned and all of that. Also, I think I'm going to shoot for next week to be an episode of Pragmatic Keto, and I'm going to talk about blood glucose testing. I think that's a great way to follow up the tortilla test that I did. And Probably then after that, I may do a giveaway. I'll do the giveaway of the Levels Health program. So getting a continuous glucose monitor and the app and all the support for a month. So that's a pretty decent giveaway. And then probably before the end of July, definitely before the end of July, I will have my next interview, my Not So Serious Keto interview series, where my guests will be Joe and Rachel from Two Crazy Ketos. And that should be fun. Those guys are goofballs. They got a ton of energy, super fun personalities. I think that will be a very interesting interview to do. So I look forward to all of that, and I look forward to seeing you guys again on my next video. Thanks for watching or listening.